Hey man, Todd with Empowered Men Coaching. Hope you guys are having a great day. Want to talk to you about something that comes up quite frequently with the men I speak with, and it's about the reason that you feel stuck, and it's not your job. Oftentimes I'm talking to men and they're saying that they feel stuck or bored or restless or irritated, or something just isn't clicking in their career and even their life. And what I want to suggest is that the discomfort might not be your job or even a relationship. It might be something about you, right? Internal. So it's not about your boss. It's not about making more money, or if I just worked somewhere else, or if I just was with someone else, right? It's not about changing careers or changing relationships necessarily, where you think everything will feel better if I just do this. But here's the truth. The truth is, wherever you go, there you are, right? So, I've worked with men in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, successful men on paper, right? Good jobs, good families. They've got the houses, the cars, the titles, and they sit across from me and they say, I don't know. What's wrong? Something's wrong. I should be happier. Why do I feel so flat? Why do I feel like I'm behind, and why does this feel meaningless? Can anybody relate? I've been there. I've heard that one in my own head. So, I found that almost every time the issue isn't about the job, it's about the belief underneath the job or the belief underneath the relationship, right? Most men are operating under a belief that they formed when they were, 7 years old, 10 years old, 13 years old. This stuff goes back a long way, and we pick up these beliefs, and then we find ourselves in our 30s and our 40s and our 50s and our 60s, and we're going like, what is this all about? What's happening with me? What's going on? So, maybe back then you were rejected, or maybe you were laughed at, or maybe you were ignored. Maybe your dad was distant, or maybe you were bullied. I don't know. It could be many, many different things, right? Somewhere in there, you feel like you didn't belong, or something's wrong with you. And in that point in time, your brain made a decision. And the decision, and it's a false story, it's not true, but your brain said, I'm not enough. I don't matter. I'm different, or I have to prove myself. I'm going to get found out. Yeah, these are all beliefs that become your lens, and you see your entire life through it. And it's weird, and it's impactful, and if you don't address it, it affects how you move your life forward. So, you're not stuck because of your job, and you're not stuck because there's been no external achievement in your life. You're stuck because of an internal belief. That's usually what's going on. So, let's just look at work. You get a promotion, you're on a temporary high. Ooh, this is great. And then what? There's new pressure. There's new comparison. There's new insecurity. And so you change companies. And then you have excitement for another 3 months. And then the same thing rolls in. The same dissatisfaction, these same doubts, these same questions. They creep back in. Does anybody recognize this roller coaster ride? Well, I invite you to consider that the problem wasn't the environment. It's the story running your life underneath it. So, a lot of guys don't like to hear this part. because this part means the work is internal It's not a change in external circumstances. And this internal work, it requires that you take ownership. It requires that you slow down. It requires that you look at your patterns. And it requires that you start asking hard questions. Not blaming your wife, not blaming your boss, not blaming the market, not blaming your age, but just looking at you, just an honest look. So here's the good news about that. If the problem is internal, if the problem came from a false belief, a story that got created and that we've been living in, and we created it, the solution's also internal. The solution is reframing that story that we've been living in about who we are that's not true, that's sabotaging, that's disabling, and reframing it, changing it. Right? So you formed a belief way back when about yourself when you didn't have any power. And this is key, right? When you're 7 years old, 10 years old, 13 years old, you don't have any power. So you have to create behaviors to survive the false belief that you took on about yourself, right? You have to survive. That's what it's about. Problem is, when you're a man, an adult, you have agency. You can ask for what you want. You can leave, you can stay, you can speak up, you can take risks, right? You can define yourself. You can refine yourself. And you don't have to operate from any belief that's like, I'm not enough, or I have to be perfect, or there's something wrong with me. So here's what I want you to do. Ask yourself what belief that you've been living in, or that you are living in right now. And you kind of can ask yourself questions like, when I don't go for something, ... what's up with that? Or when I overwork, ... how do you finish that statement? What's up with that? When I procrastinate, ... what's the story in my head? What's going on? When I avoid conflict, when I play small, what am I afraid is true about me? That's the work. What are you afraid that's true about you? The work that we do, the work I do with men, is we discover that truth. And that truth lives in a foundation of brilliance. There's a brilliance about you. And it's in that truth that you can find freedom. So, I guess that's it. That's just kind of what I wanted you to think about. It's not about changing jobs. You know, that's not going to fix your life. And sometimes it does. Sometimes that's absolutely the right thing to do. But what I want you to hear is, if you don't change the belief that's underneath whatever's going on, that discontent, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to find that peace and that rhythm. You need to live in a new zip code, right? Change zip codes in your head. So that's the goal. The goal is alignment. The goal is integrity. The goal is becoming the man who isn't driven by an old story. So if that hits something with you, if that resonates with you, let me know. Drop a line, reach out. We can do some work together, just have a quick conversation and kind of unpack maybe what's there. And I guess that's it. I'm on a little busy bridge today. And I'm Todd with Empowered Men Coaching. Ciao.